Thank you. Hi, welcome to Open Friday Coffee. This is Janine Bolon, and I want to say, hey, it's Open Friday. We made it again, another week. And even better, it's the first day of the Festival of Lights or Hanukkah. And I just can't tell you how excited that makes me because anytime you've got candles, good food, games, people coming together in celebration and remembrance of what they have accomplished, what they've managed to get over. I mean, to me, that's fabulous. When I was military brat. My dad was in the Navy and we lived in Sasebo, Japan. This was the time of year that they would be honoring a lot of the ancestors during the winter ceremonies. And so I love it. No matter where in the world you go during this period of time, you have got people that are doing amazing things as far as festivals and lights and setting things on fire, AKA candles and lanterns. I should probably specify. And so I get really excited during this time of year. So the next three, and not to call anybody out specifically, but I know we have a veterinarian in our midst, and it's been a while since we've been able to see you. So thank you for being with us today. She may be at work, which is why she has her video off. Anyway, wonderful to see everybody. So happy Open Friday coffee. And as we have other people come in, what I'm going to do is I wanted to be able to give a gift today. And I wish I had been the one that came up with this idea, but actually I was not. I wanted to wish happy harmonica, as Rich says, to everybody. But the big thing was I thought for my wonderful hashtag Hebrew ha-has, the wonderful people that are in my life that celebrate this time of year, I thought we would give them an opportunity. I contacted them earlier and I said, instead of a 1 minute tip, tech tip or branding tip, we're going to give you 3 minutes. And they're like, ooh, best Hanukkah gift ever. And I just, caused me to crack up laughing because that's what they do is they keep us cracked up and laughing. So anyway, we're going to start off with what is normally our 1 minute tech tip, but with this being the first day of Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah, my dear Matt Roseman. Yeah, give us that tech tip or whatever it was that you wanted to chat about for 3 minutes today.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Janine. I really appreciate it. But mind you, guess who fed that idea to her? So
Yes, exactly.
exactly. So yes, it's gonna be a very interesting tech tip because it's not only gonna be a tech tip, it's gonna be a very human factor today, which is something you don't typically hear me say. So out of all the times that Janine has been kind enough to let me speak, by far this is gonna be the most compelling reason that I speak to all of you. I hope that what I have to say to you hits home. And so, even though it is the first day of Hanukkah, you guys are going to get the presents. So,
Yay! Lucky
exactly.
us.
So, with that being said, I'm going to reflect on the last Open Friday coffee that Janine had, where there were multiple speakers there, and how I actually watched, the last week in its entirety, and I found a lot of conviction in some of the people and what they said. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is James Hipkin, the webmaster guy, and he said, about, okay, well, you got to maintain your site, but you also got to sit there and not just give everybody the ability to sit there and to do open heart surgery, especially if you're a janitor. So in that respect, there's a lot of validity there, and I'll tell you why. I had hired somebody to do my website, and even though he did a very good job, his communication skills were very poor. And at some point, we were not communicating, or he would not actually call me or return my phone calls. And it even came to a point where we were scheduled for a Zoom, and he no-showed completely the whole day, and I couldn't get through to him whatsoever. Part of the package he had promised me was do my SEO and also getting e-commerce on there for different packages to purchase. Well, guess what? That never happened. So he had no problem skipping out on when I was supposed to sit there and we were supposed to meet and finish things up with the site. And then over the weekend, he had the audacity to sit there and charge you a monthly fee when the site was never finished. I told him I'm not going to pay the fee until the site's finished, how you promised. And then at that point, he decided to divorce me, which I think he already decided to do on his own. And I was on the actually phone with my brother. And I literally stopped everything like an IT deer in the headlights. And I actually went on to my website because he was only a creator. He was not an administrator. And I removed the user immediately. I got very lucky too. He was with his family. And so he couldn't sit there and try to do something nefarious. So So one of the things that James had alluded to is the fact that somebody, if they're doing work on your site, you don't know what their intentions are, especially if things go south. So that to me is something that I want to stress to all you guys, is that I live what James was talking about. And so I thought that that would be a great story to sit there and share with you. So moving on, here is the next part, which is going to be very intriguing. By a show of hands, virtual or physical, how many people here typically have dealt with narcissistic people in their life? Okay, then you guys are going to love this one. So with that being said, last week there was a guy named Rob Bays on the call, or on the chat. Apparently he is a shaman, and I found out that there's only shaman. There are no sha woman or even sha sheeps, except for this guy here. So so anyway, so
And for those of you who may not get it, he is joking, okay? He plays with language. Go ahead, Matt. I didn't want you to get tarred and feathered. Just
oh,
no,
not at all. I mean, I'm turning so red. I'm turning so red right now. I could sit there and be the tryouts for the mall Santa. So anyway, but one of the things that he said is that you want to avoid the people that are toxic and combative, and this really hit close to home to me. And so for those of you who don't know, unfortunately, my mom died back in August, and that was very devastating to me. And she was literally here one day and gone the next. And she had a unique form of narcissism where she was a passive narcissist, where she would sit there and not be combative or abusive, but she wouldn't address, her shortcomings, or would, change the subject. And it was always very difficult to get along with her for that reason alone. And so that was difficult when she died, because literally there was no warning, and she was here one day and gone next. And you hear all the cliche sayings, live life to the fullest. You only have one, today's the present, nothing's guaranteed tomorrow. They are not bullshit. They really, have validity there. So with that being said, I had a very strained relationship with my dad and my stepmom. And back in Mother's Day in 2020, after being that proverbial nice guy for so long, Mother's Day, gave her a present, got her a card. I was throwing out the garbage, and my stepmom wanted me to help my sister out with Chinese food. Now, keep in mind, my parents have always enabled my sister, where they think she's an invalid and she can't do anything on her own. And I addressed them where I said, you know what, I'm going to sit there and help her out if she needs the help. And so my mother started a stink fest, and she, gave me a hard time. She threw a tantrum, and then my dad supported her. And then at that point, I snapped after all these years. And I told both of them off. I yelled and I stormed out of the apartment. And so ever since then, I really have had very little contact with my mom, my stepmom, and my dad, because every time I deal with them, I have to walk on eggshells, and I feel like I'm walking through a landmine. And I decide to have an Elsa moment from Frozen, just let it go, because of the fact, exactly. So of the fact that it wasn't worth it. I mean, the only thing I want toxic is the Britney song. So ultimately,
go ahead, Matt.
So ultimately, it was very painful, and it still is, to have to deal with that. Now, just to pull a Marty McFly and Huey Lewis going back in time, this is August, very late September. I'm at a client. It's 10 o'clock. I'm still going. I get a call from my brother, and he says, well, Matt, Dad's in the hospital. He's bleeding kidneys. And I just lost my mom in late September. It's like the last thing I was mentally ready to handle was losing another parent. So literally, I put my feelings aside. I walked into the Lions Den because I don't get along with my sister, another, narcissist, where she's toxic and combative and manipulative. And then I saw my dad and saw my stepmom and saw my sister, and I was there too. So, that was incredibly awkward. And so I just wrote a letter to my dad recently saying, I can't trust you not to sit there and to start this process all over again. Because initially they'll be nice, and then, like Cyndi Lauper, they're going to show their true colors, and then it goes toxic again. So he was saying avoid those people. So what Rob said to me really hit home to me in my heart because of dealing with those people and not want to deal with that. So I encourage all of you, if you have family or friends or fellow colleagues that are just not doing it for you and are more of a detriment than a benefit or uplifting, then it's easier to divorce them and find people that will uplift you and be there and be supportive and warm to you than to deal with that level of toxicity. So, but with that being said, on to the last and final round. So here's your tech tip, which is something I've never actually said before to anybody. We all have New Year's resolutions. It's coming up, in a couple weeks. For me and for Rich, we do it twice a year. So with that being said, we all use our technology, but one of the things I want you to think about, because 2024 will typically focus on our personal side, our health, what have you. We'll focus on our business side, what we can do there. But what about your technology? What are you doing there? Are there certain devices or gadget goodies, or are you experiencing tech trauma and troubles with your tech tools and tech toys? How would you like your 2024 to shape up? Could you do something better when it comes to a certain program or a certain service or a certain device? So something to think about. So basically all I'm going to say is that just like no doubt, I'll be walking into spider webs. I'm going to leave my information in chat, leave a message and I'll call you back. So at this point, it was great talking to everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Janine and Sean and Lynette and Tasha for all your work that you do on this channel. I appreciate all you and thank you so much, guys.
And thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Matt asked me if he could share some of the stuff that was going on, especially with what Ron Bays had to say last week about toxic people, because as we move into the holiday season, like I was talking about, I get very excited. I love doing what I do. I surround myself with people I enjoy. This is why I do the Open Friday Coffee. And I'm going to talk to you in a minute about why being at Open Friday Coffee is so important for me. And I hope that it delivers to you because of the situation that we're about ready to talk about. And then Matt, when he was talking about toxic people, we know that the end of the year is a great time for you to reevaluate and re-identify what is it that is working for you, what isn't working for you. And then, like he said, letting things go, which is why I love that song. I know a lot of people were so sick of it by the time it played everywhere. They were so done with it. And I loved it because it was always a reminder. Every time I heard it, it was like, if I'm worried about something, I need to let that go. I need to just, work on what I'm doing here in the present moment. So anyhow, it's very lovely to have Mike and Mark and Nina and Nancy and Wendy, Rich and Jeff, and are going to be mainstays. They're going to be helping us with 3-minute tips here in a moment. But without even realizing it, Matt has played into the theme or what we were going to be describing and discussing today. And that was a YouTube video that I stumbled on. Matt, I'll give you your $5 later because you literally played right into what I'm doing. If Sean, you could put the link in the chat. Ran into a YouTube video. It's literally 40 seconds long, but it's with Bob Proctor. And he talks about the 3 things that people want. And I wanted to talk about this because in my own personal experience, I'd come to the same conclusion. But when you run into a YouTube video where somebody much more famous and awesomer in messaging than you says it, you're like, yeah, listen to this guy because I totally agree with this. People only want 3 things. The first one was, he goes, most people say they don't want to be super wealthy. They're not after being wealthy or money for money's sake. What they want is to be free of financial concerns. So I was thinking for people's New Year's resolution, what would help you be free from financial concerns? Because it's not unlimited wealth, right? We like to think that, but literally when you sit and really focus on that, and Mark, we're going to ask you a little bit, we're going to ask you to talk a bit about money mindset, yada, yada. But you don't really want unlimited wealth. What do you need? I found out what my number was. My number now is 1.2 million. If I have 1.2 million in assets, dude, I don't even have to have that sitting in a bank account somewhere. Just if I had 1.2 million in assets, I would be free of financial concerns because I would have portfolio income, I would have passive income, I'd have wage income, I would have all 3 sitting there. And if you don't know what passive, portfolio, and wage income is, go look it up. You'll figure it out. But if you have those 3, then no, if one falls, you've got the other two propping up that triad of income for yourself. Okay. So that's the first one is like, what is it going to take to be free of financial concerns? That's the first one. The second one, Bob Proctor was talking about, they want to wake up in the morning and be excited about how they're going to spend their day. Now, as entrepreneurs, that was one of the driving factors that put us into the we want to be business owner space, right? We wanted to wake up every morning excited about our day. And I know people who are W 2, not 1099 folks. I know W 2 employees who love their job. Why? Because, as the one beer truck driver told me, who, by the way, she's Mormon, she goes, I am paid. I have medical benefits. I have life insurance. I have dental. I'm taking care of my kids. And I don't have to think. I just shove the beer into the cooler off the truck and I can listen to audiobooks and I'm getting an education while I work. She loves her job. So I just wanted to remind us that a lot of times we think we have to shoot for the moon and we really don't. What we want is right in our face. Okay. So that's the second one is, are you excited about how you're going to spend each day? I'm not, we're not always, oh, today's a beautiful day. We're not always like that. But for the most part, most entrepreneurs that I know are until their financial concerns kick in. And then that's when they move into that fight or flight mode. And so we want to keep you out of that. And we're going to bring in Mark here in a little bit. Mark's going to talk to us about how you reset, how you calm yourself down, that kind of thing when it comes into that roller coaster that some of us know very well as small business owners. Okay. And the third item was, and this is where I think Matt hit this perfectly on the head with what he was talking about, and that is people want to mix with people who are upbeat and creatively productive. And all I can say is every person in this room is creatively productive. That is why I love having you here on Open Friday Coffee. I know there's 9 of you that listen to this every week because you guys are listening to it all the way through. I see it on my YouTube stats. And I want to say for the 9 of you, you are included, even though you may not be on this call right now. I know about you. I see those stats. I know you're included. You're creatively productive. And if you are creatively productive, you're making the world a better place because you're expanding the perception and the perspective of it. And so I just wanted to say thank you very much. So those are the 3 things to kind of, as we go into the new year. Now, a lot of people are asking a lot of different questions. You're going to have all this advice on what it is that makes a good life. And just realize you're the only one that can answer the questions because you're the only one that walks in your shoes. And I know people get tired of hearing this, but you really are unique. As far as you being a human being, yes, you're pretty much set up very much the same as all the rest of the human beings. Where is your creativity? What is it that makes you special, so to speak? How is it that makes you unique? And that is, there's nothing unique about any one of us as business owners. I know in our marketing, we say different messages, but technically, as business owners, there's nothing unique about us. What are we doing? We are here to serve the world. There is nothing unique about any single one of us as we say that. We are here to serve the world. And every single one of the people on this call and the business owners I work with all have that servant leader mindset. And we can spot a mile away those that don't. We can see when people have stepped out of that and they're in it for themselves, they're not out to serve the world. And all you really need to know is, what does the world need that your talent can provide? Right. And each one of us have answered that differently. And that's where the specialization comes in. Okay. But technically, as business owners, we're all very much the same. We're here to serve the world, solving a problem that our talent and skill set is unique to. And then my favorite one is, after we figure that out, our job is to stay in loving of the job, not in fear for our monetary or cash flow. Okay. And so that's the roller coaster. That's the trick of it, right? Is making sure we keep our flash cash flow going and keeping our lead gen. And then that's where we ask for help from communities like this. So I just wanted to share a little bit with that. We've got the YouTube link and I'll put it in the show notes below. But we'll also give everybody a chance to speak on this. But I wanted to move over to Mark and then Rich and then Jeff. So, Mark, for starters, Mark Mathis comes to us from the Great White North. Ooh, Canada is in the house. Thank you for being with us. And he's known as the reset guy. And in 90 minutes, he can reset your mindset. And we'd love having him come on and give us a bit of a tip on how we can help move out of situations where we find ourselves either emotionally or mentally distressed. And being around toxic environments and people can definitely put you into a distressing mindset. Anyway, Mark, with everything that you've heard, yeah, what kind of a tip would you like to trot out today?
Well, the Christmas is coming around, like everybody knows, and there's a lot of people that we don't see for a while, and some of them will trigger us in a certain way. I'll put it that way. They'll trigger you in a certain way to react in a certain way. Ask yourself the question, and I do this with my clients as well. Is that if there's something that's triggering you, go to the bathroom, take a look at yourself in the mirror and look at yourself. Is this what you want to be? And if it's not the way that you like to see it, change it, reset it. Because if you're getting involved in the things that don't belong to you, the people around you triggering you, well, they're controlling your life. You have no control over your life. So take a look at the mirror and say, is it my life or is it their life? Very simple. Nothing complicated. Just enjoy what you need to enjoy.
Thanks, Mark. We always love having you on because you do that. You uncomplicate things. You unwrap it and go, okay, really simple. This is very simple, people. I appreciate that so much.
It's so true. I mean, it's very simple, but as human beings, we all overcomplicate everything. So
that kind of comes with the territory. One of the fun things that I was talking about with you and Matt the other day was technology. Things that we try to do with technology, we have a perception that it's simple, but actually it's insanely complicated. Okay. And so that's where our constraints come in. So, Mark, if you want to chat with us a little bit about that, it's that perception, right? This is so simple. I should just be able to access my email. But when you think about what we are doing with technology and how it works, it's extremely complicated. We've just see it as a perspective of being simple. And then people like Mark help us take things that we perceive to be insanely complicated because it's dealing with us and our mental thoughts, and we can get into quite the nest, the wire's nest of that. So thank you very much. Go ahead. I'd love to hear your comments.
The thing is that when we say things that it's complicated, well, guess what? It becomes complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Just change the wording around it. Well, okay, we're going through some stuff. We got to learn some stuff. Okay, fine. But is it really complicated? Or is it just that you don't know what you don't know?
Mm-hmm. And that's where that ask for help comes in. Because I don't know what I don't know. And so there was a couple of weeks ago where I was struggling with a situation and reached out to my network, and they were very helpful at helping me see what I could accomplish, because I totally had blinders on because all I could see was the problem. And I knew it. I knew I was in that space. I knew all I could see was the problem. I knew I had to have somebody that could talk me off the ledge. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, so we're going to go to Rich and then Jeff then, and then we'll have Mike and Nancy and Wendy. But let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and share with us that 3-minute tip, whatever you care to share.
So I really did write back when you contacted me about this, saying it was the best Hanukkah gift that I'm going to get. Those of you who know me, Jeff, God bless Jeff. He's going to have to hear everything that I'm about to say for like the 19th time. I always tell people I'm only Jewish on my parents' side. So, you know, we were the Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, go to temple type people. You know, I assume that's like the equivalent of the Christmas, Easter Catholics that go to mass only on Easter, you know, that kind of thing.
Correct.
Um, so Hanukkah was like, it was like perfunctory in the house, like you got a gift because you were supposed to. So, I don't ever look at this. When you said you had a gift for me, I was just like, oh, you know. So what I want to talk about today, first of all, I talked I referred to the Friday mornings as Camp Janine. And what I'd like to clarify that, by the way. As entrepreneurs, we don't have a water cooler. We don't have a lunchroom. We don't have the whatever trappings that people who have a job do. And this is that for me, in a sense. I mean, it's so much more than that. But it's a place for me as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, as a single business owner, to get my batteries recharged. And it's not just Janine, although it's Janine's playhouse, if you will, but it's everybody that's here. So I'm just in awe of that, and to be asked to speak in a room of this caliber is just very humbling. One of the best jobs I ever had as a kid, and again, this goes back to my book. I was a busboy in a Jersey diner. Now, if you don't know what a Jersey diner is, Google it, because I can't do justice. I only got 3 minutes, and I've already gone way into it. But my hours were Fridays from 5 in the afternoon to 4 in the morning. Now, my parents didn't drink. I didn't know people that drank. The only thing I knew about that kind of behavior is what I saw on the TV or movies. So here I was, I don't know, I was in high school, right? So what does that make me, 15, 14? I'm looking around, I'm seeing things that a kid my age should, would only ever see on TV and whatnot. I'm seeing at night the hookers and the drunks and the cops and the truckers and the people that were, a little whatever. And it was just the most eye-opening experience. I loved every moment of it. But the best part was that I worked for a percentage of the waitress's tips. So what I found was that the harder I worked, the more money they made, ergo the more money I made. And that was one of the best life lessons I ever got as a child, as a kid, was that I could actually determine my own, how I made my money. I didn't have to worry about a paycheck, or I would be constrained to that. So I feel like that was like one of the best lessons I ever had. I ate my way to the job. I well up when I drive by a diner. I want to go into every one I ever drive by, always, because there's certain things like diner French fries can't go wrong. And the thing is, you want to go to the diner. You want eggs and bacon. You got it. You want lobster thermidor? Not a problem. I mean, where else can you go like that? For that kind of thing, 24 hours a day. So anyway, I just wanted to share, stuff that's going on for me, stuff that brought me to who I am and whatnot. And just that. You said I could talk about anything I wanted. I decided to make it non-germane.
I think it's very germane. The stories that people have of how they got there, are you kidding me? One of the things I love sharing with people is that no matter what kind of crazy person you're dealing with, from your perspective, no matter what person you're dealing with, when you really start to talk to them about how they got to where they were with their insanity, whatever that is for you, and then you meet their parents, you go, just wanted to let you know, Tom, Dick, Sally, Harry, you are heroically well adjusted after seeing what happened at Thanksgiving. Is like they get a pass in ways that you just can't even comprehend. Now, in other people's defense, that doesn't mean I want to hang with them all the time because I find them very difficult, but whatever. However, I do have compassion at a level I didn't before. And it's always been a joy for me to learn other people's, like, if I see that, this is one of the things I say. I don't say that people are crazy or insane or what have you. When I'm talking about them and I find them very enjoyable, I always go, they're quirky. They are quirky. And I can only handle their quirkiness for 45 minutes. I have a time limit with some of these people. I can only handle it for so long. However, they are freaking heroically adjusted because I did take the time to get to know why they became this quirky mass of humanity. And then you're like, you know what? I would have been off the deep end if I had to go. I would not be as well adjusted as this individual is standing in front of me. However, I only spend 45 minutes with them. Okay. So just wanted to kind of share that with you. So, Jeff, would love to have you chat with us for a little bit on what you care to share as far as tips from this week or beyond.
Lessons from this week and beyond, I think, will be appropriate. And thank you, Janine, for reaching out to me, because I think we all are stronger and better and smarter together. And I love Rich's comment about the entrepreneurs not having the water cooler. We don't need it. We've got Janine's coffee shop here, so.
Thank you. Very sweet. Thank you.
So I think my big lesson this week has been, with Mark's help cleaning out a lot of the mental clutter. I think I've seeing one of the things that I struggled with before, and I've let go of the struggle. And Mark, I'm still learning the syntax, but I'm seeing a whole different world. One of the things I've done is I've tried to teach people how to network, and it turns out that was wearing me out and exhausting me, because it's my innate skill set and it's my passion and it's where I'm happy. What I realized was not everybody wants to network, and it's not my job to convince them they should. But for those who do want to network, one of my big aha moments is how horribly bad most people do it, because they think that it is something unique. I'm just going to say that networking is connecting with another human being and finding ways to serve each other. It shouldn't be complicated. And when, I've written several books on the subject, and I'm saying these books have evolved rapidly because I realized that telling somebody they should network differently triggers some rejection and some pushback. So I've stopped teaching people how to network, and I'm just networking with people who get it. Yes, eccentric. That's my my favorite word. I've been called weird and crazy, and I've adopted eccentric. So I don't want to be like normal people, and that's okay. But the big aha for me is that if you're going to network, think about the intention of your network. What is your goal for the activity? And then pick the partners that will help you achieve your goal. And I think a lot of people have some baggage around, oh, networking, it's transactional, or it shouldn't be transactional. The reality is networking is to help another human achieve their goals while you achieve your goals. So one of the things I'm looking at is being more strategic. If my human happens to run a multi-million-dollar company and I help them grow their company, the rewards to me are much higher than if I help, somebody close one more deal at $100 a month. So I'm networking with intention, and it's amazing once you let go of some of those beliefs that you had about trying to help everyone. You can help more people when you've got your own oxygen mask on first. So that's the big insights I've gotten from this group is we're not here to help each other. We're here to support each other. And it's a very different word in my brain. How'd I do, Mark?
Thumbs up. Excellent. Lovely. Thank you. Go
Always
ahead,
like-
Mark.
Always, Jeff. It's just that now you see it, you see life in a different light. So just be who you are, do what you need to do, and just enjoy what you do. And that's all it's about, man.
Mhm. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to have the rest of you lovely people chat in just a minute. Sean, I'll reach out to you. We have Nancy, Wendy, Mike, and then Nina. And so I'll definitely reach out to you and ask you to share whatever you care to share. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, mind if I pop in with a quick tip?
Not at all. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So for those of you who do not know, I am a graphic designer officially for White Glove Broadcasting and the 8 Gates kind of mothership. But I also daylight as a grocery store cashier clerk right now. And for those, so I see a lot of people come through my line, especially yesterday. And for those unaware, yesterday was December 7th, which for us Americans is the bombing of Pearl Harbor. So that was the date that we actually all got involved into World War II in a more official direct capacity as opposed to just the Lend-Lease program. And So there was a lot of emotions yesterday. A lot of people were very stressed because of the holidays, and also in mourning for family members who had got into World War II and such. So my tip for this holiday season is give yourself a little bit of slack. There's a lot going on. We just came through a national pandemic. It's been a crazy couple of years for everybody. And just, yeah, cut yourself a little bit of slack. And I like to always use the Boy Scout safety officer in me, which is this: is anyone bleeding? Is anyone on the floor unconscious? Is anything on fire that's not supposed to be on fire? If you can answer no to all three of those questions, the situation may not be ideal, but it's manageable and there's stuff you can do about it. If one of those three things is a yes, that is what you should focus on. It's very simple. Focus on that thing first. Then you can get back to whatever's after that.
Thank you, Sean. I love it because my kids grew up here hearing, unless somebody's hemorrhaging, is unable to bleed, or is harming another person, mom doesn't necessarily need to know about it. And I love how he became the safety officer for his scout troop, and he started rattling that off, and I'm like, my job here is done. Thank you, Sean. It's always a delight. Okay, Nancy Fields happens to not only be a brand new author, she also happens to know how to put a website together very effectively. And so if you have any kind of website questions, and this is the thing that's lovely about Nancy, I'm going to do a little promo for her here right now. She'll answer the phone. You call Nancy, she'll answer the phone. And if she's not answering the phone immediately, she's texting you saying she's on another call or what have you. So make sure that when you call her, you give her a number so she can text you and let you know what's going on. Anyway, Nancy, if you'd say hello and share with us your tip.
Well, thank you. I wanted to share something that just happened quite recently. In fact, my own website needs some work, and I've been focusing on, I've really niched down to working with authors who want a bigger online presence. And so I started tweaking my homepage copy and then looking for different images. I put a query out to ask people which design they liked. And I thought, well, and yet it seemed to slow down to an absolute crawl. Well, fortunately, I spoke with my SEO guru yesterday who said, Nancy, stop wasting your time on your copy and doing this. He said, you first need to get your silo working so that you know which pages are ranking. And once you know what pages are ranking, you'll know exactly what to say. And I thought, I'm going to share this because it's such a light bulb moment for me, because we all seem to start the website process in the wrong place. Me too. I'm there as well. So so this weekend, I am focusing on my silo. I'm going to meet with my SEO guru, and I know, and that's so next week. So I know that I really will be ready to go. So thanks for letting me share that.
No problem, because a business owner who is not always learning and reinventing themselves, I worry about. We constantly are reinventing and learning new stuff, and it can be, for me, it's like the Homer Simpson doy moments. A lot of times there are times I go, wow, that was so freaking obvious, and I had blinders and didn't even see that. And so another person will go, no, Janine, it's okay, because you do the same to me, only it's in a different way. So you're in a safe place is what I'm saying. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nancy. Okay, Wendy, good morning. Speaking of authors, how you doing?
Good. Thank you, everybody, for all the great info. I actually had a question. One of the things that I've been working on is getting animal communication business going, and I also have a TAC business, and I was just wondering if you had some tips for being able to kind of be in both circles and sort of find a balance, and be able to manage time so you don't feel like you're sort of 24/7 working. And
right.
Because I'm finding that well, this time of year my TAC business, like, it's just December's crazy. It's always crazy this time of year, and it's maturity time and everything. But I'm trying to get my other business like up and running, and so I keep having to put it on the back burner, to run the other one, to keep the other one going, because I'm like Nancy. I answer the phone, and because I custom fit everything, and I think I've really built my business being that sort of hands-on person. So I'm just wondering if you have any tips about that, how you manage to do all the stuff that you do.
Right. The first one is I'm not my own boss. When I stopped thinking that I was the boss, that really helped. And I wrote an article, and if you will email me, I'll send you the article.
Okay,
I
perfect.
wrote an article in 2016 called Who's Your Boss? And the answer, after you get through all of it, is your calendar. Your calendar is your boss. Your
Okay.
calendar is going to get you where you want to go. Stop seeing yourself as the boss. And when you sit down, you do your plan for 2024, you have segments put in your calendar, and you do time blocking in your calendar. And when it says it's time to do this, it's literally, people know me. They'll say, hey, Janine, can you blah, blah, blah. I'm like, let me look at my phone, because I gotta look at my calendar and see what I'm doing next and see if I have enough time to take care of whatever it is you want to do. And of course, part of that problem is people will schedule themselves 24/7 rather than making sure there's gobs of buffer space, so that should something come up, you've got buffer space to handle the unexpected. Okay. And so that's number one. That's how I do everything I do, is that I'm a nut about my calendar and time blocking. I block out things that are important. So on Sunday, nobody gets me from 1 to 4 unless you're family. Sunday from 1 to 4 is family. Go ahead, Sean.
I want to mention how real this is, because there have been weeks where I have literally had to schedule time with my mother, and it's like, okay, got my 30 minutes for the week. Good to see you, Mom. See you later. And that's it. There have been a couple of weeks where it has been that intense. Just wanted to get that out there, folks. So not even her children are above that. I have had to go through Tasha once or twice so I could talk to Janine Bolon at times. All right. Anyways, back to you, Mother.
Just to realize he is an adult child. Okay. This was not when he was under 18. Yeah. I just wanted to.
Yes, I'm 26. Yes,
Thank you. And there's our relationship in a nutshell. So anyway, your calendar. And yes, my adult children have been like, did I just get Tasha? Like, or I have a very special calendar link that's for just my children, that I'll send it to them so they can find a way to fit into my calendar, because it gives them a 5-minute slot. And so they just text me now. So that's second rule. The first one is the discipline you need to give to yourself, your calendar. The second one is you discipline everybody else around you, basically, AKA train them to what you want. Why are you still answering the phone when you're also the technician that's building this custom made leather equipment? Find a way immediately, if not sooner, to hire someone to take care of the phone for you. That way they're still getting that custom service. There's a human being picking up and answering the phone, and I can recommend Tasha Wilmore. No, there's other people, but you actually hire someone, and that's their job, is to pick up the phone on the second ring. Like, you let them know how many times is the phone allowed to ring before they pick up. Okay.
Okay,
So
cool.
that's the second thing. Okay. The third thing, and when it comes to how you go about different things, figure out how many hours a day you want to work. Most business owners are more than happy to work up to 16 hours a day, as long as they get to do other things, right? So like I do like 3-hour block where I'm really hardcore pressing, and then I have email, and there's all the things, right, that you're doing. I have all that scheduled out. So figure out actually, when are your most powerful points of your day, and when do you want to just sit and stitch? Just stitch, right? Block that out. When is that time? Okay. And you block it out, and nobody's allowed to schedule during that time. Okay. As Sean has alluded to. All that. Go ahead, Jeff. Save Wendy from me. Oh, thank you. You're always so good about letting me use my sign. You're always so
You'll
good
notice I
about that.
paused to let you get the sign up.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
By the way, for those of you who have a blurred background, if you hold it in front of your face, the camera focuses on it. So there you go.
Quick tip from Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
Random tech tip. Wendy, one of my questions is, why is this two separate things? Because I feel like if you bring both of your worlds together, you know, if you're doing the, sorry, I'm going to say animal whispering and the tack piece, don't animals need tack, and don't people who own animals want animal whispering? So one of the things I would say is try not to think of them as two separate, but they're parts of your two parts of the whole that make you up. And then, as Janine said, find the things that drain you, take your time. There's a person out there that can help you with any of these things. And one of the things they'll say, a lot of entrepreneurs say, oh, but Jeff, I can't afford help, or I can't do this. My question is, where do you make your money? You know, Janine calls it income producing activities. If you're too busy to do the income producing activities, you're not going to ever grow and have a business. So think about the busy work that you could eliminate so that you or somebody else could do more of the activities. The other thing I would say is I grew up on a farm, and my dad, rest his soul, loved tack. You don't need a bunch of people. You need people who love tack, because surprise, surprise, people with a lot of horses buy a lot of tack. So I'd rather have one big customer than a whole bunch of little ones. And last thing I would say, if you need help and you want to grow your tax side of your business, find local veterans or military spouses, teach them how to do the tack, because I realize that's probably meditative for you and where you can, you know, kind of zone out. But if you could teach other people how to do it, and you're still in charge of quality control, nobody buys a computer from Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. They buy it from the company. You could give a lot of people meaningful lives and jobs just by going out and being, you know, I'm going to guess personally, if I was you, I'd rather be out with the animals than at home with the leather. But honestly, I'd have a
Yeah.
hard time saying no to one in favor of the other. But for me personally, I'd rather be out talking to the animals and letting some, you know, the elves in the shop do the work on the leather. I'll be quiet now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's, yeah. And that, like, I guess my one thing was like, I mean, I've got a really good customer base, like in my tack business, and I've got like probably 60% of my business is repeat customers. So that's pretty cool. And, my one, I guess my one thing that I kind of struggle with is like melding, like if you brought the two businesses together, because I know that, you know, everyone that has a horse has a dog, more than one, usually more than one, or cats or whatever. And I also do readings for people that have crossed over and all that kind of stuff too. But I just wondered, like if some, you know, that when you have a big customer base and there's some people might be offended, you know, that aren't sort of in that spiritual realm. And so I've always wondered about that line, if it's a
Yeah.
good thing to, you know,
Right.
say like, I also do,
Right.
you know, I also do this, like because you
Okay,
don't want
Wendy. Okay, because I want to get to Mike too. So,
Oh, sorry,
and we're getting close to the end here. So, what I would highly recommend, now you're moving from the how-to to strategy. Okay, because as you know, I'm an author of a few books, right? But I also am that shaman, and I have the divine series, right? So the thing is let's talk to you about strategy. And so, Sean, if you would put 1-to-1 down for Wendy, and let's talk about strategy for you. Okay. And then you can do you can have a 1-to-1 call with me on that regard.
Okay.
Yep. And then, when we have to move out of the quick tips and we have to move, like we're moving into strategy, that's when I shut it down, and that you need to spend time either with Jeff or myself or Richard, find somebody here that you can talk strategy with.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
No
Thank you so
worries.
much.
Because
And
because we're coming up on that. This is the time
Yeah.
of year you start asking those beautiful questions and do that. But I also want to make sure that Mike gets an opportunity to speak as well, and give us a quick tip. And so thank you for showing up this morning, Wendy. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Mhm. Yeah. Anyway, so good morning, Mr. Storyteller. Oh, and I'm sorry, Sean first. Yes, Sean?
Last thing, because I don't want to take away from Mr. McQuillan. After Mr. McQuillan has had a chance to actually give his tip, Miss Fields had one quick question.
Okay, we will cycle back around to Nancy. No problem. Okay, Mike. Hi. What's your tip? And talk to us.
close the show. First off, I should have plugged this last week, but I was on Jeff's podcast. The episode dropped a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
Link is in the chat. We rocked it.
yay! Great. Oh, love it. So many of us are podcasters, so thank you for supplying us with quality guests. That's always fun.
Yeah, appreciate that. It's, as far as public speaking, it's unbelievable, almost appalling to me just how self-centered so many presentations are. While we were here last week, see, I spoke at a meeting about a month ago, and last week, as we were here, somebody else spoke at the same event. I saw it on YouTube, and she showed a picture of herself. And you know what she was doing in that picture? She was speaking. She's holding a microphone, and in the background of that picture was another picture of herself. She was literally showing a picture of herself. And if you want to kill a presentation with one sentence, here it is. Please don't write this down, just remember it. Let me tell you a little something about myself. There are three elements to a presentation: the speaker, the material, and the audience. And most speakers address those three in that sequence. First, they talk about themselves. This is where I went to college. This is how much money I made last week. And here's a picture of the family dog. And then once I'm done talking about me, I'll talk about my material, probably with a PowerPoint. I'm going to read my own bullet points as if you're illiterate and can't read them yourself. And then I'll leave just a little bit extra to talk about you. Do you have any questions? Feel free to email me if you have any questions. Like, oh, I'm sorry, audience. I didn't realize you were there. A good presentation is the exact opposite. Address the audience first, and it's always you. It's never some of you, many of you, how many of you. It's always you. I want to feel like you're speaking directly to me. You know, we say I went to a Rolling Stones concert one time. Mick Jagger put on a concert just for me, and he invited 40,000 people to keep me company. And that's how your audience, the people in your audience should feel. Address them first. Then the material and preview it with that I'm going to talk about, but you are going to hear about. You got that you focus. And then when you've earned it, you can close by talking about yourself. In fact, last week we talked about that story, like you were talking about, Janine, that thing that told you I have to be in business for myself. That's a great story to tell and close with it. The reason for it is you should close by talking about you. Once you give them value, you build up the mystique of who is this person? Wow, there must be a great story. Then your story is relevant. So put it in that sequence. First, the audience focus, then the material, but give them a roadmap of what they're about to hear, and then close with your story. That's when they identify with you. That's when you drop the business on.
Thank you very much, Mike. And is there anything the Brain Trust can do for you this week?
Well, let's see. Check out that YouTube episode and lots of comments. That'll be great. And of course, book on my calendar. You know, people don't put speech coaching on their Christmas wish list, so I've got time to meet with people, get started for the next year. I want to see how I can help you put together an awesome keynote.
Right. And I was curious if there was anything we could do for you specifically as human to human.
Human to human. Well, let's see. You can come to Peru, bring me some fig Newtons, because we don't have those here.
You don't have fig Newtons?
No, we got good dry figs at the natural food store right next door, but fig Newtons on.
Wait, where are you?
I'm in right in front of my laptop. I am in Lima, Peru.
Whoa.
So you, if you would drop your address to me on an email, we will take care of you.
Well, you have my Florida address because my "You're on mute" sign is on the way to my family's house in Florida. So
yeah,
I'll get that. While I'm there, I'll get my pictures.
Okay. When about will you be there ish? Maybe.
Well, I'm definitely there in March.
Okay.
Maybe another trip beforehand. We'll see.
Okay. All right. So I'll see what we can do for you. All righty. So Nancy, back to you, dear. You had a question. What can we do
I
for
did have
you?
a question regarding in your workshop recently with James Hipkins on demystifying author websites. You had mentioned that not every author needs a website, especially first-time authors. They'd be better served getting a free landing page software program like with MailChimp or Aweber. So I'd just like to know from you, how do you identify who needs a website and who doesn't?
Depending upon why they wrote the book.
Okay.
Not everybody who writes a book is a authorpreneur. Not everybody who writes a book wants to get out and do sales or what have you, but they do want to take care of the readership that they attract, whatever that may be. And it gives them an opportunity to use a landing page to build that list, build out that audience and that readership, and have it there in their back pocket if life changes and then they decide to move forward. But for those who are really not entrepreneurial minded, they don't really have that in their bones, because you know how you almost it's almost a calling. I like to call it, like, being an entrepreneur is like a calling. You answer a call. You may not even understand why you're doing what you're doing. You leaving that perfectly good job. It's like being a paratrooper, jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. What is your problem? Yes, I've done it. Love it. Right? So if they're nowhere near that, those are the people that I encourage for that aspect. Otherwise, I send them to people like yourself to build a 3-page website. Not do anything crazy. Put it on WordPress. Get them hosted. Get them semi sort of secure. No not grocery cart. Sorry, no shopping cart. No, nothing like that. Just get them the 3 pages. Yeah, makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, or is that it for you? That's good. Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to share or say? Go ahead, Rich.
I have a toxic client that I need to get rid of. She's not a client. She was a client. She left, and now she's come back. I'm not sure the best way to. I mean, she's talking about the amount of litigation she has with the person or the company that did her site and all their stuff before me. I don't want to become the next person that she is disappointed by. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
So
it's simple. Yeah, it's real simple. Ready?
Yeah.
No. But no. What does she say to you, Rich?
I got nothing more.
Okay. No,
Because I get caught up in my me-ness, right?
Mark, I know there are less direct ways. Do you want to share? But to me, my world is no. My sign is no. That Megan, is it Megan Trainor that did that one? I was just like, that is my theme song.
No.
What's your sunshine? No.
No. Well, the thing is that people will tell you who they are, and you have a choice to make. Do you want to do business with them or not? Simple as that. And that's where the no comes in, and that's where the yes comes in. If you want to do the business, do the business. If you don't want to do the business, don't do it. But you know what they're telling you. Just listen to what they're telling you.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
But I understand you, Rich, because you're very compassionate. You're a service-based dude. I mean, that's why you're in business the way you are. And it's really hard to say no, because there's almost a physical reaction in our own empathetic natures. I mean, I haven't met an entrepreneur yet that it doesn't have a strong sense of empathy, which is why they got called into service to be an entrepreneur. But one of the things that we learn is how to deal with what could be perceived by us as discomfort. It's a perception. It's not necessarily truth. Unfortunately, we have that. And it takes time for us to get to a point where we can just turn to somebody and say, no, and mean it. And the walls come down and the boundary is there. Ask my children. Go ahead, Sean.
I have to deal with this a lot because I'm very compassionate to feel, because I've seen so much, but I work in the customer service industry, and while I'm not allowed to say no, oftentimes it's like I don't really want to interact or do what this customer is telling me to do because I don't like it. I just flat I'm like, let me get my manager. Let me get you to somebody else. Cause I don't feel comfortable doing it. I'm not going to do it, but I'll pass you on to somebody who might. But I have had to shut down a lot of people that way, and it frustrates them, but I'm like, nope, not doing this.
Yeah. Because sometimes it was a moral issue.
Yeah, a
Go
lot
ahead.
of times it wasn't. The short and sweet approach for a lot of personalities. Sometimes you just gotta be direct and just shut it down. I wish it was easier, but there's not usually.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. Wendy, we'll go with you, and we have to end with you because it's 10,
Okay.
10 o'clock.
I was just gonna say, we had a horse training business, and we'd run into people that, they'd show up and we'd know that they're not the type of person that's gonna fit our program. And we would just literally tell them, you know what, I don't think this is a good fit. And then what are they gonna say? And you just look at them and you're just not gonna fit.
Yep. And then refer them to somebody else.
Yeah, and just say, but you might try, but you might try this,
Yep. Give them a path to go on. Yep. All right, folks. Wonderful Open Friday coffee. Absolutely loved all the tips. Thank you, everyone. I know you have a life outside of this. Talk to you soon. See you next Friday. Bye now.